I started an insurance agency, and early on, I was asked to kind of come up with some core values, and I had honesty, integrity, and trust. I think. Well, then you look at all of the other insurance agencies that have like ever existed, and they're the exact same core values. And especially when you add the element of is this actionable and can I run a decision through this, and it helped guide me. And I think while those are important, I feel like they might be a little bit overdone, maybe, and they might be a little bit kind of too fuzzy of terms now since they've been so overused for them to actually serve as some sort of guide in the decision making, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and when you look at it, I think there's some nuances when you look at it from an organizational perspective. And we all very often we talk about mission, vision, and values, right? And mission is what we do. Vision is why we do it, and then values is how we do it at an organizational level. And it's a good decision, in terms of reflection, right? Did the work I do, did I operate with integrity? Okay. Yes or no? Was I honest in all of the dealings that I had? Only you can answer that question. So I think there is a little, nuance between organizational and personal values. But at the end of the day, when I think about what matters because the key thing, particularly for small business owners, to use a military term, you are the center of gravity of your business. Mm-hmm. Right? Everything revolves around you at the start. And knowing what you stand for and what matters to you, and then what matters to your organization is important.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like the way that you said that about the business owner. And I think once I got comfortable with kind of how business operate and kind of like the framework that businesses should kind of run around, one of the patterns that I picked up on was once I got to know the owner of a business, if I learned that owner's weakness, then there's like a 99% chance that the weakness of the owner is also going to be the weakness of the organization.
Yep.
So core values, that is one thing that you should do that's actionable, is figure out, how you want to make your decisions. Do you have anything else that people should do?
The next piece is priorities, right? And it goes back to what we talked about earlier in terms of how have you defined success, right? And once you have that definition of success, what are those things that are going to allow you to get there? And as much as we don't want to admit it, there's a finite amount of energy, attention, and effort. And if you don't prioritize your energy, effort, and attention, you're not going to make the progress that you want.
I think that's really important. And I think, one of the things I say on this channel often is there are just as many different ways to make money in real estate as there are people investing in real estate. And I think it really comes down to what type of problems are you interested in having? Because there's a list of problems that come with some real estate investments that I don't make, only because I have no interest in dealing with those problems. And that's not how I want to spend, my time.
100%. And that goes to your definition of success too.
Right. Well, that's very actionable. Anything else?
I would say if the people on this channel started with their values, started with that foundation, and then looked at what their priorities were and how they can really look at their energy, attention, and effort, and that way it's focused in the right direction, with a definition of success. The only other thing that I would throw in there would be expectations, right? What do they really believe about themselves and then about their business? And what's going to guide their behavior? That's why expectations are important. It's because those expectations guide how we do what we do.
Expectations in the sense of like timeline, or what type?
No, expectations like beliefs, right? And when I think about expectations, what do you truly believe? Like, I believe a rising tide raises all boats. So what does that really mean in action? Well, I'm going to have an abundance mindset and not have a scarcity mindset. I believe that deeds matter more than words, right? So I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. And I really believe that life is a team sport.
Mhm.
I also believe it's a contact sport. So we have to take risks and know that we're going to get knocked down. But I'm going to surround myself with people I know, like, and trust, and who are going to literally, send a hand down to say, all right, let's get back up and let's keep going.
Mhm.
So those are like three of my expectations of me and the people I spend time with.
I see. So expectations in yourself and also others. I think
Right.
for a second while you were explaining that, I thought it was pretty similar to the core values and that like decision framework. But expectations is in the standard at which you're going to hold yourself, and also the expectations of the people that you're going to have immediately around you.
Yep.
Is that right? Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really imperative, especially when you think about building a business. At first, a lot of small businesses, it might just be the individual, kind of like you said, they're the center of gravity at the start. But I think as you are growing, I think I see a lot of people make the mistakes when they're first starting their business that they bring in like the cheapest help, or they bring in kind of what they think they could afford rather than focusing on what type of person they want to bring into their organization, what type of person, like the expectations that you just hit on, and then how can we then make it a win-win scenario, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think
If you
after
remember,
working with,
right, I talked
go ahead.
about strengths, energy, passions, and team. Team is
Mhm.
part of that equation. And why? Because I've messed it up on a myself, right? In terms of some of the work that I've done, I didn't pay a lot of it. Sometimes I paid more attention to people
Mhm.
and ignored my strengths, what energized me, and what my passions were. And then other times I paid attention to my strengths and what energized me, and what I was passionate about, and forgot about, well, what people do I want to surround myself with?
Mhm.
So both provided some frustration, just different frustration, right? I got energized by the people, but I wasn't energized by the work. And conversely, the other example, I was absolutely energized by the work, but de-energized by the people. So that's why those four variables are kind of in that discussion.
And either one of those doesn't necessarily sound like it's sustainable. If
Yeah,
you're energized by the work and de-energized by the people, that seems like it's probably got a pretty short shelf life, uh,
100%.
and vice versa. So, I think probably one of the things that we have taken, and I think a lot of times when we talk, especially around the team building aspects, I think that's one thing that you've helped us get really right. Like I would take the team that we currently have pretty much anywhere. Like if
Yeah,
this best business for whatever reason fails, then these are the exact same people that I would want to have around me to rebuild our next business. And I think being intentional about all of those things that you just suggested, that played a huge role in us kind of forming the team that we have.
yeah.
Well, that's very actionable. I think I'm happy with that. Did you want to add anything else?
No,
Go on
I,
to the
I
second
think
question.
that's enough for the
Yeah,
viewers of this channel to chew on for a bit.
nice. Thanks for watching that clip. I thought that was a good question. And I think you can ask good questions too. Join us every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a live stream Q&A where we answer plenty of questions just like this one. In the meantime, consider subscribing to the channel if you want more of this content. And if you want to increase your deal flow, analyze properties better, and help me feed my family, click the link below for a free 7-day trial of PropStream.